I'm Mayor Mike Nutter, and the entire city of Philadelphia wants you to feel completely welcome.
Welcome to Academic Affairs and Student Development, a holistic approach to student success. My name is Norma Saleh-Barone, and I'm the Vice President for Student Development at Moraine Valley Community College.
Okay, and good morning. My name is Sylvia Jenkins, and I serve as the Vice President of Academic Affairs at Moraine Valley Community College. And Norma and I are here today to talk to you about strategies that we use to work very closely together to help students to be successful. One of the things that we've heard over and over again from a number of our colleagues is that on some campuses, academic affairs and student development are miles apart. And one of the advantages that Norma and I have is that we've worked together for a number of years in different roles on our campus, and Norma will tell you a little bit about her background. But I've been at the campus, on the college campus, for 25 years in a number of different positions. And one of the things that we emphasize and stress at Moraine Valley is that it is a collaborative approach and that everybody has a role in helping our students to be successful.
As Sylvia alluded to, how many of you are from Illinois? Okay. How many of you have heard of Moraine Valley Community College?
Yay.
All right, yay. Okay. In Illinois, the Chief Academic Affairs Officers, as well as the Chief Student Development or Student Services Officers, we all belong to Illinois State Organization. And each of these two groups meet 3 times a year in the state of Illinois. And then we also have joint meetings. So there's about 33 some vice presidents, both in academic affairs and student development, that meet regularly. And this is what we hear, that academic affairs on their campuses operate very much on their own, and then student development alongside, but never have the opportunity nor the privilege to work closely together. So hopefully in today's presentation, you will walk away with 3 things. One is to learn a little bit more about Moraine Valley Community College, and then 2, learn and understand a little bit better what is in place that has helped Sylvia and myself to work very closely together, and thirdly, to walk away with some learning from us, some of the projects and the programs we have in place. We purposely did not make any handouts for any of you, because what we would like to do is email you our PowerPoint presentation, give you our business card, so that if you want to learn a little bit more in depth about the projects and the programs that we're working on, as well as our other administrators are doing, please leave us your business card. We'll be more than happy to answer whatever questions you may have. A little bit of background about me and how I got to Moraine. I was English as a second language faculty member for 10 years at State University of New York at Buffalo. My husband had an opportunity to move to the state of Illinois, so I discovered Moraine, and Moraine was very nice enough to hire me as a director of multicultural student programs. I worked there for 5 years and then really missed teaching in the classroom. And at that time, Sylvia had another role at Moraine, so I reached out to Sylvia, and she, along a few other women on campus, agreed to be my mentor. And then sometimes life works in mysterious ways. I worked at Moraine for about 5 years as a director. Then I moved on to another community college in the state of Illinois and worked as a dean, as well as assistant vice president of academic affairs and student development for 5 years at a college in northwest suburb Chicago. And then had an opportunity to return to Moraine as the vice president of student development. Our college president is so intentional. Both Sylvia and I started our role as vice presidents on April 12, 2010. It's been, my goodness, almost 2 years now in our position. So he was so intentional in bringing us together, hired us on the same day so that we start exactly on the same plane. And he was very clear on what he wanted and what he expects from the both vice president. Anything to add?
Yeah, and what my philosophy has always been, regardless of the position I've held on campus, is that no one entity on campus has the responsibility for students to be successful. So when Norma and I were assigned the position, appointed in the position of vice presidents, we very early on made some changes as the way we operate. One of the most significant things that we did was to have a joint dean's meeting. We regularly meet on a monthly basis. All of the academic deans, all the student development deans meet together and we discuss topics overall. But before I get into too many more specifics, let me talk a little bit about Moraine Valley Community College. For those of you who are not as familiar with our campus, Moraine Valley is located 25 miles southwest of the city of Chicago. Yes, it's a suburb of the city of Chicago. It's the second largest community college in the state of Illinois, and we serve about 37,000 students annually. That's both credit and non-credit. Moraine Valley is a member of the League for Innovation. We're one of the 19 board colleges. Now, as Norma said to you, we didn't bring handouts, but this whole presentation is going to be available to you in an electronic format. Again, Moraine Valley, you can see some of the facts about our college. 98% of our transfer graduates say they would recommend Moraine Valley Community College. One of the things that we have worked very hard on is not only improving our physical environment, but also the environment of the way the staff and the faculty treat our students when they come to our campus. 89% of our occupational graduates are employed or are continuing their education. And as of since 1967, we've awarded 49,226 degrees and certificates, offering 115 degree and certificate programs. And we are ranked in the top 7% in the nation of degrees conferred. Now that's a very significant point because it'll lead to what the primary project Norma and I are going to talk to you today about is about degree completion and how we work together to make that happen. And 85% of our students work and attend classes, not too different from what you probably experience on your own campus, where most of your students are part-time, working jobs, family responsibilities. And the average age of our credit students is 26, and the average age of our non-credit students is 49.
Before we move on, I often like to know who I'm speaking to, and I think Sylvia's too. So if you don't mind, just kind of say a few words who you are and what institution you're coming from, and what is your role on your campus. So can we start here?
Sure. My name is Bhavesh Dambrolian from Community College Philadelphia. I'm in
Enrollment Services.
Norma, they're going to have to speak in the mic, otherwise it won't get done.
Sorry.
Okay.
I forgot about that because we're being taped.
Mm-hmm. My name is Bhavesh Bambrolia. I'm from Community College Philadelphia, and I'm in Enrollment Services.
My name is Will Guntram. I'm the Campus Associate Dean for Academic Affairs at Harrisburg Area Community College.
I'm Julie Dennis from Tarrant County College in Fort Worth, Texas, and I'm in continuing education.
Spoke about your college last week at our campus. Yes.
I am Patrick Vaughn. I'm the Vice President of Academic Affairs for St. Louis Community College Wildwood Campus.
I'm Eric Weber. I'm from Salt Lake Community College, and I'm Assistant Vice President for Student Enrollment Services.
Hi, I'm Joanne Wright, Dean of Counseling at Moraine Valley.
Okay, Fillmore McCarthy, Excelsior Community College, Kingston, Jamaica, Vice President.
I'm John McLaughlin with Epsilon, and I am the Director of Business Development.
I'm Arnold Torres from South Mountain Community College in Phoenix, Arizona, and I work in academic advisement and recruitment.
My name is John Saparillis. Sorry about my voice. I'm at Wake Tech at Raleigh, North Carolina, Associate Vice President of Student Services.
I'm Brian Renfro with Hawkeye Community College in Waterloo, Iowa, Dean of Business and Public Services.
And I'm Sam DeSumo, Vice President, Academic Affairs, Hawkeye Community College in Iowa.
Thanks. Good morning. I'm Joan Barrett. I'm the Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs at Ozarks Technical Community College in Springfield, Missouri. So another Missourian.
Hi, I'm Gregory Anderson. I'm the Dean of Learning Resources at De Anza College in California.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, I'm Dave Ellis. I'm a counselor at Johnson County Community College in Kansas City, Overland Park area.
Good morning, Lita Johnson from Estrella Mountain Community College, Director of Fiscal and Enrollment Services.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. So how did we get to being able to work collaboratively, other than we've had some previous experiences that helped us? And I do believe that our president is so wonderful and so intelligent. I mean, every college has a clear mission and vision, right? So, but he also has put together his 8 expectations and the core values. And we literally practice this every day. For example, we don't hire anybody. Most of our interview questions is centered around his 8 expectations and the core values. And we don't bring in a person unless we're confident that the person that we're bringing in as a new employee meet the Dr. Crawley's 8 expectations and his core values. And his 8 expectations and core values are so practical for us to implement. For example, you know, when you interview somebody, you want to know if the person is a team player. You want to know if the person can be a risk taker, but a calculated risk taker. You know, I always tell my folks in student development, every time you want to hire a new person, make sure the person is optimistic, upbeat, right? Because those are the kind of personalities that you want your employee to exude when they're in contact with students. Those are part of his 8 expectations. Other include making sure that the person can effectively communicate. And one that I really appreciate is not use power, control, and ego. And those are the things he wants us to make sure that our employees and administrators avoid using. And then his core values, you know, we want to make sure that our employees and students are responsible, respectful, being fair, we have integrity, and also bring in diverse learning experience. So actually diversity, the diversity definition is not just based on socioeconomic, racial, but more on learning experience and what's the added value you can bring to your college. So just at the point of bringing a new employee, those core values and expectations is right smack in the, you know, right in front of you. And then you again practice it when you do your performance evaluation with your employees. Again, what are the 8 expectations that this employee has been able to demonstrate? What are the core values during the performance in the work, on everyday work life? And then again, when we want to recognize our employees, and we do give out lots of recognition, and then selecting employees for Leadership Academy participation, we follow the 8 expectations as a guideline and the core values. So we live it, we breathe it, we use it. Right? So those are the things that help us. Next slide.
To that, Norma, let me just talk about the core values that, and when we send you a copy of this presentation, we'll also give you a link to the 8 expectations and the core values. We did not embed them into this presentation because it'll take it in a different direction. But as Norma said, they are the guiding principles of the things that we do every day. The strategic priorities, again, and our opportunities are given for everybody on campus to write goals each year to support the college's strategic priorities. And the strategic priorities and the core values were established in a team environment. It's not one person sitting in an office deciding this is what everybody should do and everybody should believe. Again, it's a team environment, a cooperative way of doing that. So out of our strategic priorities, another initiative was started a year ago. And we call it the completion agenda. All of you are charged with helping more students to complete, helping more students to be successful. So as we look at how student development and academic affairs can be close partners in making sure that our students complete, we are active participants in a college-wide campaign called the Completion Agenda, helping our students to succeed. The purpose of the Completion Agenda is to develop a comprehensive plan to increase the number of Moraine Valley students who receive associate degrees and complete certificate programs. And the membership of that team is faculty and staff from both academic affairs, another division on our campus called institutional advancement, and student development. So that team approach is something that we use regardless of what initiatives we're working on campus. But Norma and I thought this one would be especially significant to talk about today. So the committee responsibilities are to review systems and programs that track students' progress toward completion, implement changes, help students achieve their education goals, develop a comprehensive plan to increase the number of degree holders and certificate completers, and to identify strategies and tactics for short-term and long-term outcomes. So you can see through those committee responsibilities alone how they cross over all the different entities on campus. When we talk about degree completion, we talk about student assessment. In the classroom, what is the responsibility of the faculty member to assure that students are learning and being successful? Outside of the classroom, what kinds of student support services exist that can supplement instruction, that can help the students to be able to meet those learning outcomes and those goals? So some more committee responsibilities are that we are also charged to review the current systems and programs that track students' progress toward completion. Later on in this presentation, we're going to talk to you about some of our AQUIP action projects. How many of you do use AQUIP as your reaccreditation process? So you're familiar. For those of you who are not, AQUIP, the acronym, stands for Academic Quality Improvement Program. So that process through our reaccreditation requires us to review all of our systems and processes to determine if those systems and processes actually help us to achieve the goals that we are trying to attain. Implement changes to help students achieve their educational goals. We say it all the time. Moraine Valley is 45 years old. Many of our practices were things that we developed when the college started. Students learn differently, their lives are different. We need to adjust our processes and systems to meet what our students need to do. Develop a comprehensive plan to increase the number of degree holders and our certificate completers. You saw from our demographic information, we do what we think is a very good job of helping our students to complete, but we can do more. And we're always in our mode of being continuous improvement institution, always looking for ways to be able to improve what we offer our students. Identify strategies and tactics for short-term and long-term outcomes. So again, everybody on our campus has a responsibility for planning objectives, both short-term and long-term. Personal objectives, departmental objectives, subdivisional objectives, and divisional objectives. They're all connected, and that way every employee on campus has an input. Norma, you wanted to add something?
How many of you have some sort of a completion committee on your campus? Okay. How many of you have 50 to 90 some projects, programs surrounding retention, completion? We counted, we have about 95 individual activities. So we're on steroids. 95 activities, programs that's trying to address retention and student success. So I want to give a specific example. Implement changes to help students achieve their education goals. Sylvia was saying that our policies have been in place for 45 years, right? And so the Illinois state have instituted performance-based funding. How many of your state has performance-based funding? Okay, all right. Getting almost, all right. I think it's unavoidable. So what happens is that we looked at our students who are taking developmental math courses. Many of them tend to postpone to the very last minute, right? And then how are they going to graduate? They petition for graduation, and then they realize they're placed in developmental ed courses. They can't transfer on to a four-year university, or they transfer without getting a degree and then try to complete their courses. So here we are telling high school folks, your 3 years of math is not enough. You got to make sure your seniors have a fourth year math, right? So Illinois State is moving towards trying to make sure high school seniors are going to take the fourth math. All right, isn't that wonderful if that becomes a reality? But then again, we also have to be realistic. If we have managed to make high schools listen to us, then we at the same time have to make sure that we make our students aware the critical timeline for them to complete their math course requirements during the first year. Because if they delay it, they're going to forget all the math skills, and then they got to take some more courses too. So we are reviewing the juncture and the point where we're requiring our students to take the math placement test, and then trying to make sure, identify the courses or programs that have math requirement and see what we can do to push it up in the forefront and make sure our students complete it maybe the first year. So that's in discussion. Of course, there's a lot of philosophical discussions that we have to get a lot of buy-in from our folks on campus. The second, I want to share with you a comprehensive plan to increase the number of degree holders. Last year, I believe our academic advising, and those who are in the academic advising probably, if you have not instituted this, I thought it was brilliant. We have priority registration, right? How many of you have priority registration? All right, how many of you have priority academic advising? Okay. You think you do, all right. This is how brilliant our academic advisors are. They say, you know what, Norma and Joanne, our dean, said, we're going to run, ask IT to run a report of all our students who have completed 45 college credit hours. Okay? Then they send out a wonderful invitation, make it sound so important, say, hey, congratulations, you've completed 45 college credit hours. Come and see us during this time, and we will provide priority advising. What a way to kind of reel the students in. So we brought the students in, run a degree audit, work with the students, and it helped us address some of the problems, because many of us who work in academic advising realize that our students always wait the very last minute, 2 days before class start, right? So thousands of them flock around academic advising, and then they complain and whine that they had to wait for 3 hours to see an academic advisor. So by doing priority advising, we break it down by college credit hours completed. We're doing a degree audit. We're helping our students develop a comprehensive plan. We get them early on. They're not waiting to the last minute. They get the faculty members and they get the schedule that they like. So we do give privileges to our sophomores, early access to academic advising. Okay?
And then on the academic side of the house, we give support to that by working with our high school faculty to do curriculum alignment. So as Norma is looking at the processes of when we require students to take placement tests on our campus for math as an example, at the same time we realize you cannot resolve this issue on a one strategy. So it has to be several strategies that are going on. So on the academic affairs side, we are making opportunities available for our high school and our college faculty to talk to each other. And then the next step of that process, as we look at pathways for completion, is what are we doing to align this with our four-year colleges and universities? Because we also want our students to graduate from Moraine before transferring to our upper degree programs. So what do? We've worked very closely with them to make sure that they will accept our entire associate's degree without the hand-picking of a few classes from the degree and not accepting the whole degree, which encourages our students to move to transfer earlier. So the next one, why degree completion is important. So we have done an initiative last year where I asked all of the faculty members to attach to their course syllabi a agree to degree pledge that our students would sign, and then also information as to why it is important that they complete a degree. And students will hold a recognized higher education degree, a certificate, an associate's degree. A certificate can lead to higher salaries. So all of the same things that you all know about, we want our students to be informed about that. With the realization that many of our students coming to us are first generation college students, there may not have been anybody in their experience that has had a college degree who can talk to them about the significance of completing that degree. So we take it upon our responsibility asking the faculty members in the classroom to talk about that. The degree increases the likelihood of finding employment, especially in this poor economy. And just this morning, as I was getting dressed, I was listening to some newscast, and the person was on talking about that after high school, regardless of the type of employment a person is looking for, they need some other type of education and training. You know, and all the brouhaha about everybody shouldn't have to go to college, well, they need to go someplace. And community colleges serve an excellent opportunity to service those students regardless of what track that they would like to take. The future labor market will require even more college graduates. And then here's some more information about why degree completion is important. So what Norma and I do is work with our faculty and staff on both sides of the spectrum to be able to send that message to students. Through academic affairs, the faculty in the classroom do it. Through the student development area, they use degree completion as a part of all of the clubs and advisories are also asked to talk about the importance of degree completion as they work with students.
Important for us to share these facts with our faculty and staff, because you know we have some naysayers on our campus. They're going to say to us, it's all about the numbers, it's all about the numbers. You're just worried you're not going to get the funding, correct? You have that. So we think it's important for us to help educate our faculty and staff. These are the reasons why. So it's almost like an elevator bullet point, so that when they are sitting down with students, that they can repeat to the students why it's important for students to get that degree, because many of our students get 30-some credit hours. They transfer on to four-year university. Life happens. They don't have their bachelor's degree. But if they had gotten their associate or certificate, at least they have a piece of paper to show to the employers that they were serious about their education. So those are some of the things we want our faculty as well as staff to be able to articulate. So it's not just nice PowerPoints. We actually want them to use them in the classroom. We want them to use during their academic advising and when they're counseling our students.
So two of the challenges along with degree completion, two tracks that we're looking at: enrollment and then retention. You know, the responsibility of going out to the high schools, talking to students, talking to parents about the importance of coming to college and coming to Moraine Valley primarily rests in student development. But we also have a number of career programs where our faculty also go out and work with the high school students. We have, through our CTE programs, dual credit classes that a number of our students take. So we want them to realize the advantage that they have taking those programs in high school, but what of a greater advantage they'll have if they enroll in Moraine Valley and continue and complete that program. The other one is retention. As we look at the reduced funding, more and more so, those, nobody else in the room is from Illinois, but I don't know about your states, but we're getting less and less money from our state. And so primarily over 55% of our budget now is predicated on tuition dollars. I don't know how it works in your state, but you know, with 55% and growing, and probably next year is going to be over 60%. Last year we only got 9% of our funding from the state. Next year they're going to ask for 12% of that back. You know, they give you 9%, they take 12, and they want 12% back. Well, so you can see why enrollment and retention are two critical benchmarks. But I always say, and as Norma says, some people will say it's all about the money. Well, yeah, we are all business people, okay? So the reality of it is, if we want to exist, we want to survive, we want to be able to maintain the quality and level of opportunities that we give our students, we have to have resources to do that. But the greater good is it's good for our whole country. It is good for our whole country, and it's good for each individual person. So enrollment and retention. So here are some of the things that that we do on our campus to talk about that.
How many of you have your freshman experience program, all right? First year experience, all right? At Moraine, we not only have mandatory orientation sessions required for first-time, full-time students, and they also then have to enroll in a freshman course, which is College 101, College Challenges and Choices. We have a lot of students who are undecided, and requiring our 18-some college credit students to see a counselor is not feasible, all right, nor is it manageable. So we do offer career exploration for the still undeciding students through our counseling department. Not only we do workshops 101, but we offer a course, and it's an elective course. Our freshman College 101 course is also an elective 1 college credit hour. And when we talk to our colleagues across Illinois State, not everybody, I'm kind of surprised, I just assume everybody jumped on and based on research that John Gardner has done and Foundations of Excellence at every community college would enhance their freshman's experience through orientation, through career exploration, through a college success freshman course, but not too many. I believe when I did a little poll out of 33 vice president of student affairs, student services, I believe only about a third of us have something formal in place. So I believe Moraine has done an excellent job with first-time, full-time freshmen. Our retention rate is about 64%. So we retain our students, and our success rate is over 60%. So now we're looking at our part-time students. That's our next big project. So I kind of try and steal ideas from other people. Other community colleges say, well, we don't make it mandatory for first-time, full-time, Norma. We looked at degree-seeking students. So whether you're full-time or you're part-time, we put them and make sure that they have a good and strong freshman experience. I also want to highlight our early warning system. How many of you are DataTel schools? Okay, so we're a DataTel school, and we've completed training our advisors and counselors using our early warning alert, and we'll talk a little bit more how we use that in our project. So basically, faculty member can send electronic communication to advisors and counselors. Advisors and counselors can then use communication management to reach out to the students. And when students make contact with us, we do intrusive advising and counseling. That's in a nutshell. I want to point out, we have so many mentoring programs on our campus, but a wonderful program that has worked for students of color is called DREAM Mentoring Program. And what we do is we take our students of color low income, and we match them with a college employee. We provide training for our college employee. It can be an administrator, a faculty, a staff member, a cashier who works in the cafeteria, a person who works as a groundskeeper. We provide training for these individuals. And we make sure that these individuals provide support, sort of like a contact, a parent who checks in on the student regularly. This has been very successful with our students of color. Mandatory veteran advising sessions. We all see an increase in veterans, right? And they are the most in need of our services. At the same time, they're also very demanding, right? And oftentimes, they don't understand the benefits they're eligible for. And then they get mad at student affairs folks. They get mad at student services folks. They get mad at financial aid office. So what we piloted last fall, and I think we won an award for that too, is that we said, okay, obviously, we are not doing a good job at making sure our veterans understand the college process. They don't understand what the benefits requirements are, and they don't understand the timeline. So what we put together, we have advisors, we have administrators, we have folks in financial aid, we have counselors working together and administrators, and we put together a program. In essence, what we're saying to the veterans, you cannot register until you have sat down with us as a group and we looked at your program. Your program must be approved by the Veterans Association, and that we will sign off to make sure that the courses that you have selected fit under the approved program. And then you're going to do all of this so that we can package your file 2 weeks before class starts. So that when class starts, you're going to get your benefits, you'll have money to buy the books, and you'll get your allowances, your living expenses. So we did that. It was so successful. But we still got a little bit of pushback from some of the veterans because they were saying to us, your mandatory advising sessions are too rigid. We are adults. You're treating us like young kids. We know what classes to take. So we kind of said, okay, we're flexible. We'll tweak it. We'll listen to them. So we said, okay, we'll let you select your courses. So we decided to be a little bit more flexible. But as soon as we let that happen, 5 of them are no longer eligible for their benefits. We said, okay, now we've got data, we've got evidence. Out of 200 some people that we help, 5 of you lost your benefits. So we might have to make sure that we have that structure. You might not like that rigidity, but it's essential so that your 5 colleagues don't lose their benefits.
So those are just some of the examples that we're doing to help retain students. Another area that, and I mentioned earlier, through our reaccreditation process, we elected about 7 years ago to use AQUIP as our reaccreditation process. Again, an ample opportunity for student development and academic affairs to work cross-functionally to make sure that this happens. We are in the process of our 2nd round of AQUIP action projects. And if you're going through this reaccreditation process, you have to pick areas on your campus that you think need special attention and special focus. And so this time we selected 3 action projects: general education assessment, looking at our Gen Ed outcomes. For a number of years we've had Gen Ed outcomes as a part of our degree completion. But now it's an opportunity for us to review those and to make sure that our curriculum is aligned and that faculty members do have that embedded into their instruction. The other one is developmental education, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that one because that one is definitely a crossover between academic affairs and student development, because the students who test into developmental education need a lot of student support services to help them to be successful. And then the third one is our college counseling and advising center, where we have an AQUIP action project. So there are a couple of grant projects that we also have that allude to the support of these AQUIP action projects. One is a Title III project that Norma's going to talk to you about, and the Next Generation Learning Challenge grant. All of these things, the AQUIP projects along with the grant projects, kind of piggyback on each other. As Norma said to you, we have 90+ different projects going on our campus. We don't want people to just run away from us screaming and yelling and saying, it's too much. Okay, quit, stop, don't give us any more. So what we're trying to do is to strategically plan how things that we want to be involved in can support other projects that we already have going on campus. But all of these projects lead to an ultimate goal, and that's student success. So the AQUIP action project, the general education assessment, as you can see here, that's an assessment of all 11 general education course outcomes over a 4-year period. We've put together a team of both academic affairs, faculty and staff, and student development people who are represented on that team, and the objective is, the goal is to measure and improve student learning through Gen Ed outcomes. You know, for a number of years, the Higher Learning Commission has put assessment as one of the top priorities that colleges should be implementing. And we've done a good job at Moraine Valley, but we still need to close the loop. It's not just about assessing students' learning, but how do you redesign that curriculum to make sure that students are getting it. The next one on developmental education, again, as I mentioned to you, this is definitely a cross-functional AQUIP action project. 3 weeks ago, Norma and I met with the deans and directors who have had the responsibility of leading us, and we just put together, I don't know how many people are going to be on that team. There are about 3 teams, right, Joanne? Joanne's in the room, that will be working together, even though we have 2 separate projects, developmental education and counseling and advising. But those teams are going to work together to make sure that we achieve the goals of those projects. So this is the description, and develop a plan that identifies the needs and barriers to success for Moraine Valley's growing population of developmental education students, and to identify intentional and intrusive strategies to increase the success and retention of developmental education students. We can all write pretty language, can't we? It's getting it done. So again, it's how we work very closely together to make sure that it happens. And these are some of the objectives. The goal is to inventory current programs and services. And we realize that even though the AQUIP action project may be a 2-year time frame, this is something that will have to be ongoing and continuous in order to make sure that we are successful. And then the AQUIP action project, college-wide student success model, counseling and advising. Norma, you want to talk about that one?
But one of the things I want to mention is that when you put a project together, it's important for you to select the membership, right? Every single AQUIP project is co-lead by an academic affairs and student development for every project. So even if it says counseling and advising, we're partnering with an academic affairs administrator. So an academic affairs administrator and our dean work on this project. As you can see, the description of the project, we're looking at students' preparedness. Are they prepared to even start college? All right, so from the beginning, are they prepared to start college? Identify if they are at risk, what are the things that we need to be doing? Because when we talk about at-risk students, there's so many variables as to why they're at risk. Is it low income? Is it because they come from a high school that didn't really prepare them to write a paragraph? We've had students that had never written an essay when they were in high school. When we look at students who are low income, first generation, don't even know where to begin, where to start. And then we had testimonies, we do focus group with our students. But the most important thing is to identify preparedness. If they're at risk, what are the interventions that we have in place? And actually, the folks that work on this project actually developed a model. I'm not going to share with you the model because you have to stay tuned and come back to League of Innovation next year because I'm expecting we're going to roll out that model to you. Because they've done the first phase, they have identified all the groundwork. And Moraine, I have to applaud them because sometimes I scratch my head because we test and we assess students constantly. So we assess students to see whether they're prepared. We assess, and it's a self-rated assessment tool. It's through Noah Levitz. And what is the test called, Joanne? Student inventory. And students self-rate as to whether or not they are prepared to come to college, and then the areas that they need assistance with. Once they've taken that inventory, they take that results and sit down with a counselor. And then the counselor will help them identify strategies, resources internally as well as externally. So it's a lot of contact that they have with our counselors through this model. And moving on, Title III. Again, Title III grant was written by an academic affairs administrators as well as student development. It is housed in student development. Right now it is a wonderful grant that helps us use the funds to review our infrastructure, okay? And then come out with recommendations on what the college needs to be enhancing, discarding, or improving. So a classic example is we looked at students whose first language is not English, or English language learners. So through Title III grant, we worked with adult basic ed population. We work with students. We have intensive English language program. So we have a remedial, English is your second language, so you take all your basic ESL classes, all right, but you're still not ready to take a college credit reading and writing, but we have intensive English language program, which is equivalent to our developmental reading and writing, so we put them in there. And we take a look at this group, and we wanted to see what we can do to help elevate them to take college credit courses. So through Title III, we're able to get a focus group. We did survey, we work with the staff, we work with the faculty, and then identify the gaps. So that's an example of what Title III has helped us done. It also helped us with identifying whether or not our early intervention is working or not working and what else we can do to kind of enhance it. And I think we'll be doing intrusive advising as the next cycle.
And some of the things that the Title III funding has been able to do is actually to equip mixed-use classrooms. So as we look at how our students learn, then we looked at the fact that students, you know, I used an example last week of when I was in college and I took physical science, and my physical science instructor stood at the blackboard and wrote everything with her back turned to the audience, and we had to just memorize what she wrote on the board. Well, students learned in different ways, and so we want to be able to equip our faculty members to help those students. So as we looked at the opportunity that we had through Title III, and we identified who our at-risk students are, well, one of the populations of students who are going into some of our career programs, well, what could we do to help and assist faculty and career programs to implement technology as a way to improve student retention. So we use some Title III money to redesign a classroom that's called a mixed-use classroom, where they can either use a desktop or they can use a computer in that classroom. But that's just one example of many that we're using the Title III money for. The next project that we have on our campus right now is called the Next Generation Learning Challenge Grant, and many of you probably have either heard about or may be involved in a Next Generation Learning Challenge Grant. I think Johnson County, there are faculty at your college that are working with Moraine Valley and a number of others through Central Piedmont Community College on this particular grant, where we're looking at students who test into developmental education but need intrusive and more support. So our developmental ed faculty and our counseling and advising staff are working together to help those students. When the faculty identifies a student early in the semester who needs extra support, then a message is sent to the counseling staff. The counselor then contacts that student to try to get them to come in to talk about strategies of how they can improve. So we are in the second phase of that particular grant, and our goal and objective is to be able to ramp that model up across our campus. We're doing it in all of our developmental ed full-time faculty classes now. The next stage is to ramp it up to all of our adjunct faculty, and then across the board in other particular avenues. For those of you who have an opportunity, I think they're doing a third round of this Next Generation Learning Challenge Grant. It might be something that you would be interested in learning more about.
What is wonderful about this particular project is that our faculty members, full-time faculty members, are so excited because we are requiring students to complete an online student profile, and what that does is it identifies the student's learning style. And then once the student completes the online student profile learning, the faculty member teaching that course gets an immediate result and a pie chart to say how many % of your students are visual learners, how many % of your students are auditory, so they can then adjust their teaching style. So the faculty members are excited about it because they think that they are delivering their instruction in a much more effective manner to kind of match with the student's learning style.
This next slide is something that I mentioned earlier about our cooperative efforts with our four-year colleges and universities. We had several consortiums that the college belongs to, but one is called the South Metropolitan Higher Ed Consortium, which is a combination of community colleges, public and private four-year colleges and universities. And one of our senior universities, Governor State University, has a college president who 2 years ago realized that, you know, this whole elitist attitude that some four-year colleges have about, well, we don't really want to acknowledge or accept the associate's degree. She had a life-changing moment, I guess you want to call it, and she said, you know, we need to do more to recruit and work with our community college partners. So through her leadership, we have now what we call dual degree admissions programs, and Norma can talk to you some more about that. But right now we have it with Governor State, Northern Illinois University, Western, and DePaul.
This dual degree admissions is, and I think many of you probably have something similar, is that student at the time when they're a freshman declare that they also want to attend another four-year university. So we make sure that they're taking the courses to meet that prerequisite. And when we have dual degree admission, the understanding we have with a four-year university is that they're going to accept our students' associate's degree. And we've also managed to negotiate with Governor State and Western Illinois University to lock in the tuition. So if you're a freshman going to Moraine and the tuition at Governor State, let's say, is $500 when you're a freshman. So when the student completes the associate's degree 2 years, 4 years at Moraine, and go to Governor State 2-4 years from now, they're going to get that rate. So that's the beauty of encouraging students to make sure that they identify early on what institution they want to transfer to. And many of you have 2+2 agreements. We're pretty aggressive in making sure that four-year universities do not evaluate course by course. So if they want, and I think Moraine has a very good reputation, and that's one of the benefits. Many universities want to partner with us, and we're adamant. We're saying, you have to accept our associate's degree, no questions asked. And if you want to continue partnership with us, and we're also shameless in terms of asking them for scholarships. Because you want our students to go over there, and like Dr. Jenkins was saying about Governor's State, President has woke up one morning and decided to partner with us. We have another university, St. Xavier, now is going to award $11,000 per student and graciously named the scholarship after our president, who's retiring in June. And I'm so sad, but we have like how many scholarships? 11 scholarships.
$12,000 scholarships. Yeah,
that's wonderful. So yeah.
So financing, that leads us to the last part of this particular part, financing their education. Just as you're probably experiencing, more and more of our students need financial aid. That has also caused us to take a good look at what we are offering our students, helping them to try to succeed because of the number of semesters that they can qualify for Pell Grants. All of those things attribute to retention. All of those things attribute to retention. So we just wanted to let you see about what our statistics look like and the increased numbers of students that we have financing their education. This really concludes what Norma and I brought to you today as an example of how we are working collaboratively together. But let me add to the fact that one of Dr. Crawley's 8 expectations, and Norma mentioned it earlier, is that ego has to be put aside. And if you go back to your campuses and think about, well, what can we do differently? How can we work better together? How can we improve on the projects and initiatives that we have to help our students to be successful? Well, then the first thing is to realize that it's not about any one entity or person on the campus to have that responsibility. And once you realize that and you let go of power, and it doesn't matter to me who takes the first step. If the person from DePaul contacts Norma first, then Norma will come to me and say, Lois Bishop from DePaul contacted me. Can we put a team of people together so that when they come to visit us, we can do it together? When I go to my CAO meetings, I have made it very clear, like statewide Chief Academic Officers meetings, I've made it very clear that we can't talk about dual degree programs or transfer programs without having our student services officers sitting side by side. Because on our campus, who does the transcript analysis? It's done in our student development area. We may be the responsibility for developing the curriculum, but the transcript analysis is done there. So putting ego out of the way, it's not about who's the chief academic officer, it's not about who the chief student services officer is, it's about what's best to help our students to be successful. So that's the primary premise for everything that we do, and I believe that if you keep the student first, that's your primary goal, helping that student, then it shouldn't matter whose office is on first when the project goes forth. Norma?
I just want to make sure that we have some time for you to ask questions. I think we have about 7 minutes. So I'd like to open, Sylvia has kind of summarized everything beautifully, as usual. She is a strong proponent of student development. I couldn't be more luckier, I have to say. But the one thing I do have to share with you is that our faculty and employees see whether or not we're genuinely collaborating, because they will come up to us and say, we don't know how you do it, but I think you both just get it, that you're doing it, and then they're all jumping aboard, and now it becomes it's a natural way of doing our business. So, any questions? Yes?
Could you elaborate a little more on your DREAM mentoring program? Because I'm wondering how many of your staff, students, each staff would be paired up with?
1 student per staff, unless the staff member is willing to take on more than 1 student. So what we do is we send out a shout out to faculty and staff members. We said we have students that would benefit from you being a mentor. So if you don't mind, we would like to invite you for a training, and it's almost a whole day of training, and we provide luncheon. And we also not only talk to them about the importance of connecting the students to the resources, but building relationship, being a friend, being a parent at the same time, but understanding the boundaries and the parameters. And that particular program also afford opportunities for them to kind of have lunch with the student. Sometimes we build activities, and sometimes we tell them it's up to you to invite the student to go out and take a student to a program that we have on campus, a theater, a concert, but building relationships. And it is very structured. We have handouts and binders. If you would like to learn more about the Dream Mentoring Program, I'll be more than happy to give you all the steps and the resources and the toolkit.
Have you done any assessment to determine the efficacy of the program?
Yes. What we do is we looked at like anything else, we look at the students where they start before we pair them with a mentor. We look at their courses, we look at their credit hours, and then at the end of the semester we track how many hours they actually completed, and what their grade point average is. And we do that as part of, Illinois has what we call underrepresented report, and we include that success rate in the underrepresented report. We show students who are participating in the mentoring program what their academic success rate is versus those who don't participate in the academic program.
How is the retention affected by
I would have to say that, let's say I have 25 students at the top of my head, 25 students who we partner with a college employee. I would say 23 students are retained every semester through this partnership. Because here's a person who's not an advisor counselor, all right? They are not trained to be a counselor, but they're trained to check in with the student. They're trained to not be the intimidating administrator that's checking to see how they're doing in their classes. So this is truly based on a caring philosophy. You care for your student and you show it. And then we also tell employees, you don't have to be a counselor advisor to mentor a student. You don't have to be a faculty. You could be a secretary, a person who works as a cashier. And I think that brings a richness to that mentoring program, because not everybody constantly needs a faculty to mentor them, or an advisor, or a counselor, or an administrator.
Thanks.
Question in the back. Pass the mic to her, please.
Pretty loud. My question
You
is,
have to use the mic because of the recording. I'm sorry.
so my question is around what the actual success of all this work has been in terms of your college retention, graduation, and transfer rates.
We're doing very well with our full-time students. Full-time students is over 60-some%. Part-time students is 50-some%, 53, 57, yes. And then we looked at retention semester by semester and then year by year. Now, what we're doing right now, I put a committee together. We brought Terry O'Banion, and the first thing he says, you know, you can't do voluntary. Students don't do voluntary. You got to do more mandatory, right? And then he has his pathway to connection. Moraine has student milestone. So what I'm doing right now, I took all of the 95 projects that Moraine has, put a committee together, and see where it fits in Terry O'Banion's pathway to connection and student milestone. So the next step is, we're looking at data. For example, we have an award-winning, Joanne is going to be recognized today on her Dream Keepers Emergency Fund. And basically what that is students who have identified a financial need, and the financial aid is not fast enough for them to cover some sort of emergency that happens in their life. They can apply for this emergency fund, and this is a collaboration between Student Development Financial Aid, Advising Counseling, and Foundation. They will write out a check up to $500, not to the student, but let's say to the guest company, to rental, the landlord, and so forth, so that students will have some money to buy books, free up some money to buy books or for transportation. Now, that particular Dream Keepers, Joanne tracked. If it weren't for the Dream Keepers Fund, we would have lost those students. And then based on the Dream Keepers Fund, she not only looked at how many of the students were able to keep as a result of this, how many hours they completed, and what was their grade point average. So that's the evidence we're collecting. We're now looking at every single project, and we're trying to make sure that it is sufficient, that it's truly working. So that's our next step. So assessment is a big thing. We're hammering in on all of the departments, assess, assess, assess. How do you know what you're doing really makes a difference in our students? So that not only we're doing wide assessment, now we're looking at individual 90-some projects.
With your first year experience, how are your students assigned to advisors? Are they specific, or are they general purpose, or what? Talk about how your students are advised in that first year.
It is more general first year experience. At orientation session, our advisors and counselors co-present the orientation. And we have a new student retention assistant, dean of new student retention. Is there an assigned advisor to each student? No. We are moving towards that. We're trying to look at based on credit hours. We do have informal advisor that's assigned to different career programs. All right, so that the advisors is working with students to make sure they understand what the admission requirements for those career programs, specifically in the health-related field programs. And then once they do that, it almost becomes natural that that is the contact advisor or counselor that the student tends to seek assistance.
I do have a question. As far as when you started this journey, did you have to redesign some of your positions within the college to kind of develop where you were going with these?
Actually, no. The positions that Norma and I currently have were positions that have been at the college historically. So this goes back to a good point that as we hire people to come into the institution, we look for the person. Can that person fit the model of what our expectations are for collaborative working environment? So no, the positions aren't new. The dean's positions that Norma has referred to, I've referred to, the director's positions have all been there. It's about the expectations. Well, thank you very, very much. You got our contact information. It also is available on the League website, and we look forward to seeing you all throughout the conference. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm Mayor Mike Nutter, and the entire city of Philadelphia wants you to feel completely welcome.